Well, Dewey, I want to open up episode 27 of the What Do We Do podcast. Bogey, Dewey, obviously, here at Great Lakes Wealth. I want to open it up and allow you to give a very special shout out to someone important in your life. I know this is a big deal this week, and I please just open up the show with this.
Well, Bogey, it's great to see you. Thank you so much. Podcast listeners, YouTube viewers, nice to see y'all. Even Sully there in the control room. Good to see you, my friend. And Bogey, I appreciate that. Today is December 1st, Tuesday, December 1st. This is our 27th podcast. That's pretty historic. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Well, it pales in comparison to really what is going on today. Can I tell you?
December 1st.
Yeah,
please,
December
tell
1st.
us.
This is my mom's birthday. And it's not just any old birthday. It is a very significant birthday, but I'm not going to tell you what it is because I know that wouldn't be appropriate to tell you the number.
Especially as it pertains to a woman.
Especially
you don't want to be giving out ages. Yeah, no, that's true.
She's turning 29 for the whatever time.
Don't say how many times. Yeah, we'll just stick with 29.
I want to make a little noise, for Mom and say happy birthday, Mom. Much love. Dr. Carolyn Steffen, you are the star of the show. You will be forever in my eyes and my sister's eyes, and I think all the grandkids' eyes. But on that same note, please go back to episode 1 of the What Do We Do podcast, and you will hear a little bit about my mom's story and then how it relates to me. So, Kyle, thank you so much. Mom, love you. Happy booyah birthday to ya. And with that, let's start the show.
Well, and real quick, maybe off the air after we're done recording, you can get me her address as well, because I want to send her a massive birthday gift to thank her for dealing with you for as long as she had. I mean, my goodness, that had to be a tough task, right?
She hears that every day, everywhere, right? And so I'm going to just say amen, and I hear ya, and she hears ya. I'll give you her address. She's an amazing woman. She's been breaking glass ceilings, since her birth, and we are just so blessed to have her. The community is really blessed to have her for all that she's done, not only for our family, but for the community. And so, Mom, we can't wait to celebrate with you later tonight. We will be doing social distancing. We will keep everything COVID friendly, but can't wait to see you. Love you, and happy booyah birthday one more time, Ma.
Enjoy that last year in your 20s. All right. Fantastic shout out from you there. Now, there is just really no way to segue into what we're actually going to be discussing on this episode here on the What Do We Do podcast. But something that came to my attention this year, certainly because I'm a new father, and I have the lovely, Miss Blake Bogenschutz. Unfortunately, she has a terrible last name, but something that I had to start thinking about just this past year in 2020, despite everything else going on, was how I can start setting myself up and little Blake up for the rest of her life. And I know you want to start with a question, but estate planning, incredibly important, something everyone has to think about. And I know at Great Lakes Wealth, you guys take that very, very seriously as well.
Bogey, absolutely, right? There is no time soon enough to plan, for your estate, for your life, for all those around you, right? One of the greatest rewards of wealth is being able to share it with others, and having an estate plan to control the distribution of your assets benefits you, your family, and the causes that you care so deeply about, right? And so when you have a child, you instantly need to think, oh my, what happens if, right? But even before a child, when you're married, oh my, what happens if? And even if you're 15 years old, oh my, what happens if? So there's never an early enough time to be thinking about what to do if. And the two big ifs are, if you were to pass away, you have to have everything set before you pass away. Otherwise, it's too late, right? Number one. And number two, what if you just become incapacitated? What if an issue arises that you're unable to make any decisions that are necessary for anything having to do with your estate or your health? So those two things make it very important that absolutely we talk about a very important subject today, the basics of estate planning.
And, you say estate planning, and I know you wanted to ask me exactly what that is. I guess my answer to that in a roundabout way is, making sure that you are giving your money, your assets, your home, leaving whatever, you're going to be leaving behind to the right people, to your kids, spouse, whatever it is. I guess that's my, I don't know anything about finance, investing, anything. I only know what, I've learned from you over the last several months. Is that basically a summary of what we're going to be talking about here?
Yeah, you got it, right? It's a plan that lays out who would get your assets or be responsible for any of your liabilities and or the tax situation created therein for the people around you that will have to handle it or that you would like to have ownership of in that situation, correct?
So say someone, like me, okay, I'm 31 now. Or say somebody that, is a little bit younger. Say you're 24, 25, and you decide, hey, I'm going to start planning my estate. I need to start thinking about this, and these are the next steps to do it. What is that first step that you take when you say, hey, I need to figure out where all my stuff is going to potentially go someday?
Kyle, as we've said in the past, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, okay? So you gotta just start. And the first place you start is by taking inventory of what you have, right? Your estate is a collection of everything you own. That includes your cash, investments, real estate, business interests, any other personal property, right? So all of that is where you start by inventory of your assets, if you will, and what you have. And I'm going to give you a couple quick stats here, Bogey. Did you know that according to caring.com, 55% of Americans die without even having a will?
Wow.
Okay, so we'll talk about, again, going to probate and what happens if you don't have a will. And even if you do have a will, you have to go to probate, right? So intestate is a version if you don't have a will or don't have all of your ducks in a row, if you are following me, right? So not only is that a significant number that people need to be aware of, but only 42%, 4 out of 10 adults have any type of estate planning document, right? So basically 60% don't have a will or any other type of written, piece of paper, instructions verbally to anyone. This to me is unconscionable.
Here, I'll be the guinea pig. Like I said, I'm 31. I've never really thought about this. The thought of having to come up with a will, having to come up with, a plan for my estate. And really, I don't even feel like I've built, any wealth at this point. So what am I really leaving behind? A really nice set of golf clubs and a little bungalow. There's not much else there. And my lovely dog and, obviously all that. But to me, is there a certain age, you say as early as humanly possible, but am I actually behind the eight ball? Or am I in the norm being 31 and not having a plan, in place just yet? Because you're 31. You don't think about any of that. Is it 40? Is it 45? Should I have already done it? I guess where is that line?
Bogey, that's a great segue to what I had written down as the 4 common estate planning myths. Okay? Mm-hmm. The very first one. Myth number 1. I'm young, so I don't need to worry about it. Sully's in there. He's got both hands up. He's going, yes, let's talk about it, right? And so I don't have enough assets to leave to anyone. I'm young. Well, guess what?
That's how I feel.
I understand. So here's what I'm gonna tell you. Okay, someone who's 30, 31. Okay, you probably have multiple bank accounts. You probably have a retirement account. Mm-hmm. You certainly, I would imagine, have some debts. You probably have some personal property like those golf clubs, okay? And they need to go somewhere should you die.
The golf clubs need to go to the right person. Okay? I'm very concerned about those.
I've seen you play. Throw those in the river, okay? Start over, okay? You know what I mean? I'm saying maybe that gap wedge, you can keep that one, but I'm left-handed, so they're not going to
Pretty sure I dusted you last time we played golf, but we can revisit revisit that
yeah,
another
we'll talk
day.
another
Yeah,
time.
for
But
sure.
anyway, I'm just trying to shake it up because again, whether it's for fun or for serious, to say, oh, the golf clubs, well, those got to find a home. We know we're having fun, but it's really, really serious, right? Accidents happen, bad things happen, life happens, and guess what? Death happens.
Yeah.
So you need,
Especially this year. I mean, now is as important a time as any, 2020, and what we've seen.
well, definitely this year for sure. Death is more, pronounced as it relates to COVID-19 and everything along with that for sure. But death is frightening to think about no matter what, right? And life is unpredictable. And if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. If it's just for your legacy, fine. If it's for seriously taking care of those around you that you love, very, very much a different story, but it's all so important. I can't stress it enough, right? 3 quick stats on the younger people, okay? Ages 13 to 36, 78% don't have a will. Ages 37 to 52, 64% don't have a will. Ages 53 to 71, hello, what are you waiting on? 40% don't have a will. This is all, again, according to caring.com. And to me, it's unconscionable. I don't understand it. And so we're here today to help, get some people off that starting line.
So I'm actually in the majority, the fact that I don't or haven't really thought about that necessarily outside of just, I should probably consider doing that.
Yeah, well, and again, that's why we're here today. Because we're going to shake you up, and we're going to give you some tricks to kind of get you started.
Put the fear of God in. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to give you, again, the checklist, the starting point, and try to help maybe again, things to get you started. Myth number 2: I don't need a plan because my spouse or significant other or my child will get everything, right? Even if you're married, or if you just have a significant other, or you have a child or children, it doesn't automatically just randomly plop into their lap, right? There are ownership rules, and there are things that will make it messy or end up not getting to where you would expect it to go in the event that you're not here to guide those circumstances, right? So for those that are married, your spouse might get everything, but they have to sometimes go to get them. It doesn't just happen. So that's myth number 2. Fair enough?
Real quick, before we get to myth number 3, would you say then that estate and will go hand in hand? Or would you simply say it's most important first for the estate planning, home, assets, money, retirement fund, all of that first, and then the will maybe could come along the lines after that? Because, again, I'm 31, people maybe even in their 40s, probably not thinking about funeral arrangements, and that obviously I think is going to change based on what you want and how you grow and mature as a person as life goes on. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. So you're kind of on the right track.
Okay.
So estate planning means just the plan for your estate, right?
Sure.
So it's just, again, get a whiteboard or get a piece of paper, a legal pad, and write down just all the things that you have, all of your worldly possessions, right? That's just taking inventory. And then you want to, again, start with a will. So we'll go through, Kyle. We'll go through.
Okay.
There are a list of things, right?
Great.
There's these things called trusts, and then there's all types of different trusts, right? So we'll walk through, and absolutely a will is an amazing starting point for sure, right? But with myth number 2, at the very least, whether you think it's going to automatically go to somebody and there's a waving of a magic wand, just understand that you want to have a clear plan to reduce the number of decisions that your spouse or loved ones will have to make when they're grieving, right? So just have a plan. This whole thing is all about the plan, right? Myth number 3, my family will know what to do. And this is probably, again, where you are, as in addition to myth number 1, and most people are probably in myth number 3. Well, I'm sure they'll handle it. Whatever, I don't want to deal with it. They'll know what to do. Think about it for a second. That's extremely complicated and frankly quite selfish.
No, and honestly, I'm always amazed at, it's a very morbid subject, but, it's life. It is what it is. I'm always amazed at how quickly, someone passes away, and it could be within 48 hours. here's the funeral date, here's the home, here's the cemetery. It really is amazing how, I don't want to say simple it is, because obviously everyone's grieving, and it could be tragic, could be something you plan for or not, but how fast it's just there, it's planned. Right down to the video, with old photos and stuff that people have at a funeral. It's amazing, and you should make it as easy as possible for your family members. Hey guys, it's Bogey. I want to take a second to talk to you about Dewey Steffen and his excellent team at Great Lakes Wealth. Look, do you feel overwhelmed with managing your assets in today's financial world? I mean, think about the times that we're in here in 2020. Do you want financial freedom? Great Lakes Wealth offers Wall Street solutions with Main Street values. They sit down with you to develop custom financial solutions utilizing all of your assets, even your 401k. We build the future you want based on your goals and your dreams. That is what Great Lakes Wealth is all about. Thinking about you, thinking about your family, and thinking about your future. Simply go to greatlakeswealth.us to schedule an appointment today. They offer better investments, better service, and a fee-back guarantee. Okay, a fee-back guarantee. Your road to financial freedom starts at greatlakeswealth.us. Please visit greatlakeswealth.us or simply give Great Lakes Wealth a call today.
So it's not even just at death. So again, myth number 3 of my family will know what to do. What if you're, just incapacitated? God forbid you're in a car accident, you're in a coma, you're in some sort of a life support situation.
If I'm a vegetable, pull the plug.
Well, who knows that? Have you written that down? Do you have a medical
I need to
directive?
do that.
That's a medical directive.
Should I put it on a piece of paper and just toss it in my wallet? If I'm a vegetable, pull the plug.
Absolutely, but
because I don't want to exist like that.
Again, that's your personal choice, and I'm being very serious. Again, these are decisions that everyone has different. I could sit here for an hour and talk about my specific family and the different dialogues that have gone on, and everyone wants something different. So it's about death ultimately in a lot of situations, but what if it's about just the incapacitation? What do you want to have happen, right? Also, with all of that, it could be big things like estate and inheritance. Okay, and again, back to death. If it's estate and inheritance, big money. Well, the family will figure it out, this and that. Who's to say? But also, what if it's about those golf clubs you just referenced? What if your daughter really wants them, or you really want her to have them, but it's not written down? And so,
I need to put her through a screening process and make sure she understands how important those clubs are and treats them with respect and care.
Again, she'll probably hit them better than you do, but that's a whole
I hope so.
You know what I'm saying?
It's time to get that scholarship,
Booyah,
right?
You got it for sure. So this is, again, we could go on and on about all these little subtopics, but myth number 3 is the family will know what to do. And you can write it down, and they're still not going to know what to do. You've got socks in your sock drawer. Man, I'll throw those out, okay? But there are other things. It might have been that cool shirt. Might have been that Scooby Doo outfit you had from Halloween. I mean, it was Pluto, not Pluto.
No, it was Goofy.
It was the Goofy.
Yeah,
right?
the Goofy outfit.
Maybe you still have that in the closet, and that wants to be handed down. So, again, very, very important that you don't just expect others. And no one wants to deal with this, and that's why 60% basically don't ever get it done. It's just a travesty. So, myth number 4. Once I create a plan, okay, here we go, right? Once I create a plan, Dewey, all right, Bogey, you guys twisted my arm. I wrote the will. I got the piece of paper in my wallet. I'm done, right? Myth number 3, once I create a plan, I'm done. No, life happens, things change, you evolve. Hopefully, if you've been listening to the podcast and you're doing really well in the equity markets or investing, got a little bit of that gold, a little bit of that Bitcoin, got a lot
diversifying
of
your portfolio, as you like to say.
So hopefully your asset base is growing, and whether that's real estate, et cetera. So again, you might have a second child, you might have a third child, you might have a divorce, you might have a marriage, you might have, again, all these things that happen. A funny story that I'll tell you real quick on this is I had a financial plan and an estate plan put together, right? And so when I did it, my trust, so we'll skip ahead to the trust. When I had a trust put together, I only had 2 children. I had 2 boys, okay? And in the trust, the lawyer says, well, you might have more children. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll come back and we'll do it again when we have a 3rd child. I don't know, right? I don't know what to do. He said, no, you need to put in here words that say, in case you don't get back here. So it is, if the effect of something happens to you, then assets are to be split equally between your son Jackson, your son James, and any
Any
other
other
children that
yeah.
you have to be named later.
Smart.
Well, guess what? My daughter's name is Jillian, and she literally lived for 3 years until we went back and adjusted the trust. So for 3 years, I refer to her as the child to be named later, right? So again,
That sounds like a baseball trade.
absolutely, right? So
Player
again,
to be
it's-
named later.
seriously, and that was the kind of the funny part. So she was covered from birth if something were to happen. And again, in our
Sure.
situation, it wasn't just for assets. It's again, who's going to take care of the children if both parents are
Yeah.
not here anymore. So there's taking care of your assets, there's taking care of your family responsibilities from a health perspective, but also from a financial obligatory perspective. So very exciting to talk about, but no one wants to talk about it. So again, we're going to today.
Do you think I could write into my my will, if I can't golf anymore, just pull the plug. That's it. Life's over. Take everything else. If I can't golf, that's it.
I mean,
Probably can't do that.
I mean, if that's what's most important to you, I'm gonna just sit back and go. I mean, I guess. Listen, this podcast doesn't count for anything. I mean, I'm telling you, you just started a business with this guy, Mike Sullivan. I mean, maybe, you can work out a little estate plan for him and, he'll love to
Oh, we'll be talking about that.
I'm saying?
Don't worry.
I mean, these
Yeah.
are very important topics. But,
That's something that we have to take care of. It's stuff you
got
got to think about. Yeah.
You've got a family that loves you dearly, Kyle. I mean, I know I've talked to them. I've seen them. I mean, I don't necessarily know why all the time, but they do. It's called unconditional. They've told me this. So, if you can't golf, man, trust me, we'll find something else to do, okay? We'll do 2 pods a week. How about that?
Yeah,
Okay?
perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, but yeah, so with that, again, with your estate plan, okay, if something were to happen to you, you need to be fully, again, prepared ahead of time for the plan to be correct, right? So I'm going to talk about the 4 steps of estate planning. We talked about the 4 myths.
Yep.
Now I'm going to talk about the 4 steps. Okay. One is make a list of everything you have. We talked about that, the inventory. Yep. 2, design a plan. Okay. Figure it out. What is the plan? He gets this, she gets that. I want this. And again, we'll talk about, there are 3 different ways you can start the process. 1 is go online. 2 is hire an estate planning attorney. And 3 is you can, what is number 3? I am having a,
Is there, while you find that,
you can just go ahead and create the plan yourself, right? So we never recommend number 3. I'm not going to recommend number 3, but you can just go ahead and write it on that piece of paper you were talking about.
You said hire an estate planning attorney, correct?
Yes.
Is that what it's termed?
Yes.
So is there a cost to, for anyone out there that's thinking about this, we're encouraging people certainly to set it up as early as possible. Is there a cost to setting up your estate, coming up, drafting a will, if you will? Is there a cost that is associated with that then?
I like that little play on words there. If you
a will,
will,
if you
get
will.
a will,
Yeah.
if you will.
Thank you.
So yes, there's a cost for sure. So we'll talk about that in a second because that again depends on the complexity.
Sure.
But again, for those podcast listeners and YouTube viewers and yourself, the 3 options are, again, you can find it online and get the worksheets and do it that way. 2 is you can hire a professional to help you, which most of the time we'll ultimately tell you will be the route to go. But again, you can start by going online and just Googling, worksheets for estate planning or something and figure out that way. The 3rd way is then just get that piece of paper, like you said, and just write some stuff down. And that one's really better than nothing, but that's not the way to go. So again, the 4 steps: make a list of everything you have, design a plan, and then you need to execute the plan. So we'll talk about what that means here in a minute. Executing the plan, right? Making these documents legal. Okay. And then again, number 4 is keeping your plan up to date. And like we talked about with those myths, once you're done, you're not done. Just like you should go to the dentist twice a year for a cleaning, right? Your doctor once a year for a checkup. Here at Great Lakes Wealth, we talk about your financial plan on an annual basis. You also should do your estate plan review on an annual basis, right? So it's important to keep up with all these things. So with the 4 steps understood, then you need to start with these documents and understanding the documents. And you referenced the first one, Kyle, which is your last will and testament. Okay? It's the more legally sounding version. Make sense?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so the last will and testament, also known as the will, states who will get your money, your assets, and your property. Everyone should have a will. Again, go online, write it on a piece of paper. My last will and testament states that this. And The golf clubs go to Sully.
No,
Whatever it is,
whoa,
okay?
no way.
He might. I've seen him play. He could get the rust off of those things. He can get those things dialed in. He could get those bad boys dialed in and hand them back to you. Almost like a tune-up.
Could I just get buried with my clubs? Would that be possible?
Just
buy a bigger casket and get the
Sure.
clubs in there with me. It'd be awesome.
For sure,
Yeah.
absolutely, right. And so,
God, this is morbid.
so after the last will and testament, there's a letter of instruction, right? There's a living will, an advanced medical directive, a durable power of attorney, life insurance policies you might want to get. You can also, again, talk about a trust, which is part of your letter of instruction, okay? And so that's, some of the basics of the estate planning, ingredients, if you will. But I don't know if you have any other questions or anything else you want to talk about.
Not anything specific on that necessarily, but I guess, once you've established this, you obviously are coming up with the plan just, on your own. It's what you want, what you think is going to go where. How, at that time when you're planning it, how open should you be with spouse, parents, siblings, children, whatever it may be? I guess how open should you be in sharing all of that information as well, so that they have an understanding of how it all works in the event that something happens?
Yeah, that's great, Kyle. And so, again, first, when you make the list of everything you have, I'll give you just some quick overview of what those things might be. And then we'll talk about when you create the plan, you want to at least have a person who will know where the documents are or where to go look for, the designated plan, if you will. And then we'll talk about some of the words like a beneficiary, talk about a trustee, talk about your executor, right? So we'll go through that. But step one, just as a checklist for those listening, get your pad of paper and your pen and write down for a list of everything you have. It might include bank accounts, and write down the approximate balances, all your investments and where they might be held, any retirement plans you have, including your pensions, any real estate or property you own, businesses you own, either wholly or partially, personal property of value from your grandmother's wedding ring to the collection of trading cards, your golf clubs, et cetera, et cetera.
My hole-in-one ball. There's a ton of stuff I'm going to have to write on this thing.
Can we get a photo of you with that? I think we give that to Sully.
No way.
Christmas is coming up. No, just give him a photo. Give him a photo of it. I know
that thing's going in the Smithsonian someday. I'm
fantastic. Again, if you have insurance policies, those will certainly be important enough in the situation of your untimely death. But also, this is something most people don't think about, which is your digital assets like passwords, email accounts, where you receive important communications.
See, now that's interesting, because in this day and age, the amount of passwords and online accounts, banking, social media accounts, the list just doesn't seem to end. That has to be, especially over the last 20 years, that process has to have gotten even more detailed than it used to be.
Well, again, I think so for sure. Yeah. And I'm not 100% aware of how to get access to accounts, social media accounts, or even email accounts from Gmail or, MSN or whatever the case is. But, if no one has passwords, certainly how do you get in, and what if there's important information there? And again, a lot of times, I think people's email stores a lot of information that, is the same as having a lockbox.
I'd be curious to know how Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, how all of these companies handle something like that. Twitter, whatever it may be. If somebody passes away, all of those accounts are still live, certainly, but would the executor of would they be able to gain access to them to potentially delete them? Would they be able to show a death certificate to say, hey, can we get these accounts shut down or taken away? That's a fascinating thing to wonder. It really is.
So today's pod is the basics of estate planning.
Yeah. I'm not saying we have all the answers, but
the details of estate planning, the specifics of estate planning. Okay, so again, I'm not sure. I think we all have friends on Facebook that may have passed away, and their Facebook pages now serve as a memorial to them. And on the birthday, it pops up as a birthday, and people go back and recognize that person in their life. So that actually happened to me over this last weekend, and it's part of the situation.
Yeah.
Right. So once you have a list of all those things we talked about, and again, put your passwords someplace. It's important for your family to be able to get access to those things, and maybe it's just because your contact list on your phone, if your phone is locked. I'm not really sure what else.
Sure.
But besides all that, then you create the plan. That's the second step, right? Design the plan, create the plan. You have to decide who you want to give those things to, right? Which family member is going to get those golf clubs we keep referring to? Whoever's going to get something, that's called your beneficiary, right? You can have primary beneficiaries. You can have contingent beneficiaries, right? Primary beneficiary is who's named first to receive named first to receive something, and then the contingent is if the primary is not there anymore either, then it would go to the second person or the contingent. And this is very important for retirement plans through work, any other, we learned from the past, qualified retirement accounts, right, where you can designate a beneficiary or beneficiaries. It's primary, contingent. Please make sure you also take a look at that. That doesn't have to be part of a will. That's all straight on those documents, right? Very important. Also, you can talk to a professional, and they can help you navigate, again, terms like beneficiary, okay? Number 3 is execute the plan, okay? So for some people, you won't have to do much. Just sign some documents. Just write down, I give everything to Dewey. I give everything to Sully, and just sign your name. Others, if it's gifting, you need to, again, talk to your financial advisor and understand the gifting laws and the gifting rules.
Tax implications, certainly, yeah.
For sure. And part that we haven't talked to about yet, and we're about to, is the taxation of estates, and how there's some tax preparation and some tax understanding that's really necessary. So,
are there exemptions when it comes to that? Do you want to dive right into that right now?
Oh, for sure. So in 2020, the first 11.58 million of your estate is exempt from federal taxes. Did you know that?
Wow.
Yeah, so get up there and start making some of that money, my man, right? So there's actually 3 broad areas of tax. One's estate tax, the second one's inheritance tax, the third one's called community property tax. And so which you want to make sure that you have, I take that back. You want to make sure that you have everything kind of covered proactively with your plan and understand how the taxes will go. And that sometimes depends on the state that you live in as well. So there again, go online and try to figure it out. But if you're talking that you have an $11.5 million estate or larger, I'm pretty sure you want to find a professional to help you. Make sense?
Yeah, wow.
Speechless.
No, that's amazing. Up to basically $12 million, and you don't have to pay federal taxes. That's a pretty big state.
Again, so that's
who the heck has that?
Well, right. So there's there's inheritance tax, and so that applies to the people that are receiving, right, the gifts, and so that doesn't come from the estate; it comes from the receivers, and each state may have an exemption or a lower amount. So again, we're not going to get into weeds to it today, but just make sure that if you're putting your estate plan together, that you are fully aware of the tax implications depending on on your situation. Fair enough?
Fair.
Okay. And then we also want to touch on the medical directives, okay? And again, we haven't really touched on trust. So a trust is what we would call a legal will, if you will, a more legal will, I guess, for this conversation. I used to always give the example, when you see a movie and someone dies and someone's unhappy because they got left out of the will, what do they do? What do they do to the will? Speechless over here. Sully, what do you got?
They act out?
They contest the will.
Sure.
I contest the will. I talked to great-grandpa Jones yesterday, and he told me I get everything.
And that's when those things just get absolutely nasty.
Nasty, right? So
breaks up families, honestly.
So again, if you don't have a will, it's going to be broken up more.
Things like that can happen.
If you have a will, it's still, again, something that has to go to probate. So a will is a good starting point, but depending on your specific situation, again, the next layer of security is called a trust, okay? And there's living trust, there's revocable trust, there's insurance trust, there's a whole bunch of different types of trust. There's a family trust, an individual trust. College trust is totally
different.
Totally
Okay,
different.
okay.
I guess I shouldn't say it's totally different. That's fair enough. It's part of your estate plan for sure, right?
Yeah.
That's money put aside for education, so for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But a trust is a more secure document. Have you ever heard from those movies or anything else? I contest the trust.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard that?
Oh, yeah.
You've heard I contest the trust?
Well, I would assume.
Okay, I've never heard that. So I contest contest the will. But again, the trust
So
really
you can't contest
No,
the
you
trust,
certainly
is
can.
what
You
you're
can
saying.
certainly
Okay.
you can go to court for sure and,
Gotcha.
and fight the trust. But I was having a little play, a little fun that people contest wills all the time.
Okay.
Not too many people contest a trust, right? So you certainly can. But with a trust, that's just, again, where you would start paying some more money. A typical trust, if it's an individual trust, might cost around $1,000. A family trust, which might have two trusts for the two people, a man and woman inside the relationship, or again, the two people in the relationship. So that could be $1,500 to maybe up to $2,000 for the trust. But also inside the trust, you'll have a living will. You'll also have your advanced medical directives, right? So you'll have what's also known as a durable power of attorney. So a durable power of attorney means if you're incapacitated, maybe you're just traveling out of the country and no one can find you, and there's a decision that has to be made by tomorrow on something that's yours. You're alive. You're just climbing, Mount Kilimanjaro or something, right? Well, a durable power of attorney gives someone that you've directed the ability to make financial, legal, and even medical decisions on your behalf, right? So durable power of attorney, living wills, advanced medical directives, letters of instructions, trusts, a will, it's all part of the estate plan, if you will. And so, another play on words, if you will. What if one of our names was Will? That would be fantastic.
That would be way too much.
With will, for will, by will, right?
Sure.
So there's also life insurance that you really want to consider, again, to offset some of the tax liabilities. And also it's a fantastic way to really create a plan for your family, right? If you have a younger, healthier person, you can buy life insurance at a discount. $1,000, make it $1 million of coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Buy it, and then God forbid something happens, you have set up your estate, if you will, to pay off debts that you might have. Again, a lot of people will buy insurance just to cover their mortgage payoff amount,
Sure.
As well as any sums of money they would want to leave for their heirs. Does that make some sense too, Bogey?
Absolutely. I guess to sum up here, if you had to say, why should you, someone who's 31, why should you be thinking about and setting up right now, your estate plan at this point?
Because everyone needs it, because it's the unknown that's in front of you, right? And again, I can't stress it enough. You have a daughter. So for her benefit, you have her mother, right? You have anyone else that's in your life that you care about and love, that you want to make it as easy for them as possible to help settle your business while they're A, grieving, B, trying to make sense of the mess because you haven't laid it out. It's going to always be a difficult situation, no matter how prepared the estate is. So again, I encourage everyone to take a second or 2 seconds or 3 seconds, take whatever time it is necessary to get a start on their estate plan, please.
And of course, if you want to get some more information outside of everything that we just covered here on the What Do We Do podcast, you can certainly go to greatlakeswealth.us and find out some more information. Dewey, with that, another great episode. Again, just to wrap up, happy birthday to your wonderful mother.
Yes.
Fantastic day.
Dr. Stefan, also known as Nana to her loving grandkids. To me, it's Mom. Love you so much. We just want to say episode 27. Happy booyah birthday to ya, Dr. Stefan, a.k.a. Mom. And with that, we're out of here, and we're just getting started.
The opinions expressed in this program are for general information purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or any specific security. It's only intended to provide education about the financial industry. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult your financial advisor prior to investing. Any past performance discussed during this program is no guarantee of future results. Any indices referenced for comparison are unmanaged and cannot be invested into directly. As always, please remember investing involves risks and possible loss of principal capital. Please seek advice from a licensed professional.